Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and this is the February 24th edition of Horses to Watch, where we carefully analyze trips, looking for horses that might have encountered adversity in their prior starts, or just put forth notable performances and look for them when they run back next time out. On this week's show, we're going to look back at two races from last week at Aqueduct. We didn't have that rail bias situation that we saw 2 weeks ago be quite as prevalent this weekend, though there was a bit of that on Sunday. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But we did have a couple of nice days of racing, two trips that I want to discuss, one from Saturday, one from Sunday. We'll begin with the race from Saturday's card. It's the fifth race, Maiden Specialway, going the one-turn mile distance. I want to focus on the number 6, Willie Sutton. Let's break these horses from the gate, and he's breaking one from the outside, the two horses towards the outside, Willie Sutton, and also the number 7, Lemon Drop Road. They're going to head out towards the front end in this race, and you see the horse that's right outside of Willie Sutton, that number 7, is going to be pretty aggressive, really tugging at his rider, and he's going to force Willie Sutton's hand as these two go on to the front end. And then you're going to see the number 1, Frosted Indian, in those purple silks rush through inside of these horses and go on. Frosted Indian is ridden like this is a 6-furlong race, not a 1-mile race, and you'll see how that impacts things at the end. But as they pass that first 6-furlong marker and head into the backstretch, you see that this trio of front runners start to separate themselves from the rest of the field. And that opening quarter in 24 seconds flat might not sound that fast, but they start to speed things up down the backstretch, and you're going to see as this race unfolds, it completely falls apart in the late stages. So you want to pay attention to how these horses towards the front of the pack end up doing. Now, Willie Sutton's under a bit of a ride in between horses here to stay up close. Frosted Indian is showing that easy speed on the front end, but he's going to fall apart as they come to the quarter pole. And Lemon Drop Road, who have been traveling so strongly in the early going, both he and Willie Sutton start to drop back off this front runner a little bit as they come to the quarter pole. And they're all under drives now because they've been going so fast. You see that opening half mile goes up in 47-1. So they ran that second quarter in just over 23 seconds. That really takes its toll on Frosted Indian, and you see now the closers start to reel them in. But even the horses that make the first run are going to get tired, because you see the number 5, I Am the Law. He gets to the lead here at about the 3/16 pole, but even he's tired from having made that early move into that fast pace, and you see horses are going to swallow him up. And actually the two horses that were last and second to last in the early going are going to finish first and second here. But look down on the rail, the number 6, Willie Sutton. He's the only horse that was involved in that pace that never quit. And as they come to the wire here, he's even battling back, trying to re-engage and pass that number 5, I Am the Law, to get up for third in this race. So I thought he ran deceptively well here. This was not a particularly fast race for the level. Willie Sutton only got a 63 buyer, but I think he ran a lot better than that number suggests. And if you look at the time form US speed figures that take pace into account, I think he got a time form US speed figure in the low 90s. That's a nice progression from the number he got in his debut. So I think this horse is heading in the right direction. They paid a lot of money for this horse as a yearling, $1 million at the auction. And I think this Bob LaPenta owned and Jonathan Thomas trainee might have a little bit more ability than he showed in his first couple of starts. So I expect another step forward when he comes back for his third career start. Moving on to a race from Sunday's card, I mentioned at the top of the show that we had a little bit of that rail bias coming back this week, and that was the case on Sunday. I don't think the rail bias was quite as strong as we saw through last Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the 13th through 15th of February. But on Sunday, the 21st, we did start to see, especially towards the end of the day, that same phenomenon where horses that were riding the rail seemed to have a significant advantage. It was present early in the day, but by the last 3 or 4 races of the day, you just saw horses riding the rail appear to have a significant advantage and really run away to some impressive margins of victory and also some very fast speed figures, which we'll get to in a little bit. We're going to take a look at the 8th race from that Sunday card. It's allowance numbers one other than going the one-turn mile. And I want to focus on 2 horses in this race, the number 4, Malibu Star, and the number 6, Frosted Ice. Let's break these horses from the gate, and as they come out of the chute, you can see that some horses gravitate towards the rail, some don't. The horse that's going to try to get right to the rail, you'll notice, is the number 3, Doubly Blessed. His rider, Trevor McCarthy, seemed to really sense that the rail was once again the place to be, and he was riding like that by the time they got to the end of this Sunday card, and it really paid dividends for him. You see him in those turquoise silks on the number 3 horse getting right to the inside. That's the eventual winner, Doubly Blessed. Meanwhile, though, towards the front of the pack, the number 2, Daddy Knows, is heading out to the front end with the number 4, Malibu Star. And Daddy Knows is a horse that has a tendency to drift out in his races. And he appears to be getting out in the backstretch. And you can even see on this pan shot, he's not on the rail. He's a good 3 to 4 paths off the rail. If you watch the head-on of the backstretch, you can see that he's actually nudging Malibu Star farther and farther out into the center of the racetrack as it appears that he's getting out under Romero Mirage. I don't think it was the riders doing. I think the horse was actually bearing out on him. And by the time they head to the far turn, Malibu Star is out in the 4 path, and in behind him is number 6 Frosted Ice. He's also outside, and he's going to have to come around these drifting pair to get into a clear position to make his run coming around the far turn. Now, Daddy Nose does get a bit closer to the rails to come around the far turn, but even here you see Romero Mirage is having trouble riding him. He's trying to drift out, and he's coming out into the path of Malibu Star. And by the time they get to the top of the stretch here, you can see Malibu Star is in the 4 path, and Frosted Ice has been in about the 5 path for the entire run around the far turn. That's not ideal even on a fair racetrack, but on a biased racetrack, as you see that railroad with the number 3 doubly less spray away from this field. That's a real disadvantage for both Malibu Star and Frosted Ice. Now, Malibu Star, to his credit, he never quits in this race. He puts away that horse that was bothering him on the turn and runs into a clear second-place finish here. No match for the winner who got that perfect trip, but Malibu Star still finishes well and earns a 90 Beyer speed figure for this runner-up finish, a 109 time form US speed figure, so that's pretty much right in line. This was a pretty fast race for the level. Now, Frosted Ice did fade to finish, I think, 6th or 7th in this race, beating only 1 horse home, but this was a deceptively strong effort from Frosted Ice. In his first start off, a trainer switch to Michelle Nevin, and even though he was beaten a long way, he was in the race for a long time, was compromised by that wide trip, and a mile might be even far for him when he's at his best. I think this was a subtle improvement off his prior form in his first race for Michelle Nevin, whereas Malibu Star is going to be a relatively short price when he comes back at this level. I think he's likely to win this condition at some point in the near future based on his high speed figures. Frosted Ice is a horse that could come back at a similar level and be somewhat overlooked. He also could get turned back in distance, which should benefit him. And I think he's a horse that you want to look for at a price next time out. So both Malibu Star and Frosted Ice should do well out of this race from last Sunday. Well, those are all the horses to watch for this week, just 2 from this past week. I kind of spoiled you with 4 races last week, so we'll do some more in the future. Remember, if you want to follow these horses in the future, you can just add them to your watch mail on DRF.com. Just go on to DRF.com Horse Watch. You can add these horses to a list and get email notifications when they run back or have workouts or results in the future. That's how I like to follow these horses when they come back. So thanks for watching this week, and make sure to stay tuned for future episodes of Horses to Watch on upcoming Wednesdays.